Assemblyman Oaks.
Hi, Commissioner. Just to maybe build a little bit on Mr. McLaughlin's comments, and I think we can all understand the concern of saying holding up things. Lots of times time is of the essence with businesses creating the deals and with our local IDAs and being involved. So I think the issue of timeliness, and you said we won't create roadblocks, so I appreciate hearing that, but I think also just local determination, you know, there's some sense. In the governor's overall view on this, you know, you said you're not a roadblock. From his perspective, I don't know if you can speak on his behalf, but the reason for going this way is, you know, obviously he sees a benefit within that proposal. Your thoughts on why here and what this does in a positive way, or what are the roadblocks or problems you see with it?
You know, I think again, the challenge in a fiscally challenged environment, right, where we're still looking at a $1.3 billion deficit and we don't have all the resources we might like to have to do economic development. We have to watch, as prudent stewards of taxpayers' money, we've got to watch every single allocation we give to a project carefully. And the goal here is to make sure that when we're going to allocate state resources, because Senator Kruger pointed out a tax credit or an exemption is a cost to the state coffers. So if we're going to sacrifice the state portion of the sales tax to a project developed by an IDA, we just want to make sure that that project is consistent with the other projects we're doing in the region and the overall regional economic development plan, and it's consistent with the growth industries and with the sectors that we're advancing across the state. But I think that checking on that and finding that consistency, seeing that alignment, again, we'll move quickly to give that IDA the green light to move forward, again, as soon as, assuming that that coordination's in place.
We've read where the governor may be willing to look at this, you know, as we go through the rest of the budget negotiations. I just hope you're saying you've been involved with business entities, the local counties who are concerned about this. I hope you'll take into certainly listen to them, take into account their concerns, because I think there is some view of saying, do I have to have somebody else give approval and concern for that? But there's also, I went dead on the mic, I think. That's good, I guess. Yeah, you pulled the plug. There is concern that their involvement and ability to have local input continues on through this. And I guess, you know, within that, do you agree that local IDAs still need to have independence and you know, in the midst of their operations and being able to be a working partner in this?
Well, local IDAs, as I said, are really vital to identifying important economic development projects at the local level. You know, we have 10 offices at ESD and a relatively small staff as far as state agencies go. We could never identify all the critical economic development projects at the local level. Obviously, we're aided a lot by the regional councils now because that's a bigger view, but the IDAs are a critical partner, and they retain all their independence for allocating local tax benefits and local resources. It's simply, you know, in this coordination, one thing I want to, I guess, address is that we work with the IDAs already. I received a number of letters about this topic, you might imagine.
Really?
But them from people that I know. And we work with them, and I'm comforted as I say this to you, Assemblyman, that at the local level, the people running the IDA already know and see all the time the people running our ESD regional office, and they're already closely coordinated. So while we're sitting here in Albany, and I'm thinking about a letter I got from Niagara County, maybe it feels like this coordination would be tricky, but now that I think about it, actually our ESD staff at Niagara County knows the local IDA folks, and they can move through this process very quickly and efficiently.
I guess the last thing just that I would like to bring up in this is that we've created now the regional council structure. I think that it is had a number of positives. I think, you're making some suggestions about IDAs, transparency within the way they work, I think is good. Transparency with the way that the councils work, I think is important as we go forward. The question I guess I would have is, we're all learning to trust the process that's changing, on us. If you take out the commissioner of DED and you take out the executive who are sitting there now, who have been helping to develop this process, is it a good process that works no matter who sits in your chair and who sits in the executive chair? Is it the structure we should go as the way it's done now? Does it work?
Yes, and it does work. And because it's built on some basic principles that make sense for thoughtful and successful economic development. Input from the community, from the local level, recognizing regional differences, right? There's no one-size-fits-all. There's no one perfect program for a whole state with such a broad and diverse economy. So different parts of the state are going to have different economic futures. And leveraging an honest assessment of regional assets and the leveraging of those assets. Those are fundamentals of the system, and it doesn't matter who's sitting in this chair before you as commissioner, because those are the principles the governor has embedded in this system. Those are his principles he saw in action when he was the HUD secretary in Washington for 8 years. He's seen it work at a national level. I mean, those are principles of economic development that, again, I think don't depend on any one person or set of people, deputy commissioners, my colleagues at ESD. It's the right way to strategically allocate scarce taxpayer resources to economic development projects.
I think some of the questions that have been raised during this time by a number of different people, whether it's talking about should it be in law, should there be executive order, there's some issues, that I think still are yet to be determined, but I appreciate your responses. Thank you.
Thank you.